I'm out here with Mr. Austin Schweitzer and his little friend Eric.
Why you say that?
Yeah, we haven't lost him in this Milo yet. But man, this stuff is looking incredible. And guys, if you remember this spring, this is a field that Austin and I were in, and we were talking about planting Milo into this cover crop. It was after the winter wheat last year. We planted a warm season.
Yep.
And then we planted a cool season into that. And then we started getting a little bit nervous first of May because the cereals were really taking off, the cereal rye in that. And so you came in, you burnt that down, we let the legumes express themselves.
Yep.
And we had, I can't remember, Austin, do you remember how many pounds of nitrogen was in that?
It was 130.
130 pounds of nitrogen
in
the biomass, plus what was in there, 30 or 40 pounds in the Haney test?
I think 38 or 36 in the Haney.
Yeah. There are 36 pounds in that. So typically, how many pounds of nitrogen would you apply for a Milo crop?
If we were running full rate with blended fert, we'd be about that 85 pounds.
85 pounds.
80 to 85, depending on the number.
So what you're standing in right now, and I'm going to zoom in on this behind you, is how many pounds?
This 40-foot strip right here is 0.
40-foot strip, 0 pounds of nitrogen.
And that's 0 sulfur, 0 P, 0 nitrogen, nothing.
Wow. Okay.
Wow.
And then if I pan right over here, to my right, how much did this have?
This would be 25 gallon.
25 gallon.
So that'd be what, 72 pounds?
72 pounds in.
I think. 72 or 65, somewhere in there. That's sulfur, P, and nitrogen.
Okay. Wow. So
28.
What was that?
That's 28.
28 unit.
That would be 80. That's 28 gallons, so that would be
okay.
That'd be about 80 units.
So 80 pounds of nitrogen over there. Gotcha. Now I'm with you. Yep. So we're looking at this. Yeah, there's a few heads that are a little bit delayed here, but these heads are amazing.
And I got a question on this, David. What'd you say you just priced nitrogen? So what would this save you?
Well, we locked this in December last year, the fert we used.
Okay.
And when we contracted for wheat to run here in the next month, it doubled.
So the fertilizer price from December to now has doubled in price.
It has doubled. Yeah.
Wow.
From what we put on this. So then you look at that, and we're gonna have to do some math. Run the combine.
Absolutely. Well, it looks like we're gonna make some pretty good yields here. And you were talking about fencing this in and throwing some cows out in here afterwards.
Yep, we're gonna graze it.
So I mean, there's another economic gain on this.
Well, and the coolest part about that 130 pounds of nitrogen was that I looked it up. That was 12 pounds of peas and 2 pounds of vetch. Wow. So the peas, that's like $7.80 in peas and like $5.60 in vetch. And then we had 30 pounds of rye with it.
Pretty
for
cheap.
$15.
$15 to fix the nitrogen.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's pretty impressive.
That's money well spent, isn't it?
Well, and that's what we didn't have the biomass test back when we planted this. And David just about broke my arm, twisted my arm to get me to do this check strip, because I didn't trust him. But then I put on full rate, and then I stepped it down up through the field. But I didn't think we were going to pull enough nutrition to make the Milo look good. Well, when we got the biomass back, it said 130 pounds. I probably should have started at like 20, 15, 10 gallons, because we had plenty of nutrition.
And we walked across this field. If he didn't have the flags, we wouldn't know.
Yeah.
You couldn't see transition from one place to the other.
No, but the one thing that we did notice when we were walking across, you know, from the higher nitrogen to the lower nitrogen, is that the leaves actually on the higher nitrogen, when you turned off dry here this summer, they actually, the plants were firing up. They were dying out.
Early on in the dry spell, I thought the no nitrogen was hurting more. But then the longer we were dry, it went the other way. And then where the fertilizer was hurting worse than where we didn't.
Absolutely. We see that a lot. Anytime we pump the fertilizer to a corn crop or anything, it shows the first moisture stress out there.
Or insect stress.
And insect and even disease. So, you know, I look down here, we've got some pretty good residue. And I just want to show you guys. So I didn't want to pull my spade out, but I'll do it right here, you know. Spade goes down incredibly easy in this soil. And I promise you, 2 years ago when we were out here doing our first soil samples, to get this spade in the ground, I was beating it with a hammer. But check this out. If I pull this back, got some veg residue. Look at this. Worms, worms, worms. And these guys are active. The soil is cool, a lot of moisture. We did not have this a couple years ago. This is incredible. You know, I contributed to that warm season cover crop that we grew, having all of that, you know, diversity of species out here, keeping that soil covered, you know, adding the diversity, following the principles. The 6 principles are incredibly important. You know, it doesn't matter where you live, what your rainfall environment, if we can get those principles in place, we can achieve some phenomenal things. That's why it's so important to add that, you know, small grain into that rotation. Oh my gosh, if you guys could smell this, smell that. You know, you guys out here on, I'm telling you.
Put on the smell app.
Yeah, we need an app or something that you can like smell what we're smelling here. You know, can you smell what I'm stepping in? I promise you guys, this is amazing. The soil is the transformation of this is incredible.
And this was how long?
So this is really just year 1.
Well, I mean, had the wheat, had the bean crop before the wheat, and I had oats seeded into Milo stubble before those beans.
So one growing.
So there was one cover crop there, and then the wheat we took off after the wheat and really pushed it. We tried to push the envelope.
Yeah,
that was our plan.
Yeah.
So it doesn't take long. That's, I mean.
Well, the warm season, the cool part, the warm season we had behind the wheat was a failure. I mean, it droughted out. We got really, really dry. You and I talked about it a couple times, and we seeded the cool season in behind it because we got hardly any biomass with that growth.
But it really wasn't a failure. Because,
Well, it wasn't a failure, but at the time that felt like a failure.
Yeah, we didn't have, the plants weren't as tall as you, and I promise Austin here, Eric.
I'm 6'3".
Yeah.
He's a liar.
Yeah,
He's a liar. But
he's 6'3" in the back of a pickup.
so, actually, some of the warm seasons probably got about as tall as this Milo.
Yeah.
You know, but heck,
you know, we assume something that's not, you know, because we were in a field today and it was, you know, but 2 weeks ago it was this tall, and we sit here and assume something's a failure. Anything growing out there, anything's going. I mean, look at this, you know,
Yeah.
and we see a different color, or we see things not as quite as tall, and we think of it as a failure.
Well,
and it's not.
when that cover crop was droughted out, we were going to run a subsoiler and then plant the rye crop, and we couldn't get the subsoiler in the ground.
Wow.
So we gave up. Well, then, you know, through the cool season and everything that's happened, we can stick a shovel in. It's changed drastically.
absolutely.
And we never pulled the subsoiler.
No, we don't have to spend energy. We don't have to spend our hours. We spend more time doing things we enjoy doing, you know. And if you enjoy running tillage equipment and burning diesel at, you know, $3 a gallon or whatever it is, kudos to you. But, you know, that's not really putting a lot of money back into our pockets, right, at the end of the day. But if we work with nature, she's going to provide everything. We just have to have trust in the system. You know, it takes some flexibility too. You know, here's some of the rye that, you know, was just heading out, and we were nervous, you know, hey, it's going to suck a lot of moisture out, so we went ahead and terminated that early. But, you know, for the residue that we had, spurring this biology along with a little bit lower carbon to nitrogen ratio, since we had lower CO2 respirations with our Haney test, allowed us to really, you know, kick our system into drive here. And man, we're pumping, we've hit first, second, third, we're grabbing for another gear. We keep growing here. So it's going to be awesome to see how this progresses the next couple of years. And
Well, and one of the things that's pretty interesting to me, we've been dry, and you know that.
yeah,
This summer we have been dry in this area. We're in a pocket that's been pretty rough. And under conventional wisdom, we grew 2 cover crops after wheat. We should have no reserve. We shouldn't be able to grow a crop.
absolutely.
And it's a pretty good crop.
Absolutely.
So
It'll be impressive whenever the combine runs through it, and I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be fun. This is what makes farming fun for me again. After years of working in the retail industry and selling seed, chemical, and fertilizer, and and having my aha moments, and then coming out to systems like this and working with farmers like Austin and seeing the change. This drives it all home that we can do this. We can do it quicker than we ever thought possible, but we've got to be intentional about how we do it. We focus on those 6-4-3, 6 principles of soil health, the 4 ecosystem processes, and the 3 rules of adaptive stewardship. We can accomplish a lot. So that, guys, anything else you want to say?
No, the picture speaks 1,000 words.
The picture speaks 1,000 words. We're going to try not to lose Eric here on the way back to the trail.
Oh, yeah.
All right, guys. Well, hey, I appreciate it. Thanks, Austin.
Thank you.